What is up, guys? So I just had a community vote to see which aspect you guys wanted to see me do next, and protection won. So that's what we're doing next. Just a disclaimer before we begin, these rankings are entirely subjective and based on my perspective from how I play the game. You may have a completely different opinion, and that is okay. For the criteria, I won't be holding being trait locked against an ally. That means if an ally has a powerful effect only for X-Men, I'll rank the ally for how good I think they are when paired with other X-Men. So for the S tier here, we have allies that are auto includes if you're playing protection. For the A tier here, these are allies that I'll always try to include if I'm playing the specific archetype for this ally. For B tier, these are allies that if I have an empty roster in my deck, I can easily fit them in. For C tier, these allies are often very situational, so in order to maximize their full benefits, I have to heavily deck build around them. For D tier, these allies just aren't very good, and there's usually going to be better allies that can replace them and do what they do a little bit better. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off here with Armor. So Armor is a 2-cost ally with 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 hit points. Play only if your identity has the X-Men trait, so we're going to be assuming that we're playing her with the X-Men hero. And she also comes in with Toughness. So Armor is actually very, very good, right? She 2 cost, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 hit points, which is your standard 2-cost stat line. But she comes in with Toughness, so you can effectively use that 2 costs to just have her block. That's a little bit of a tempo hit, right? Paying 2 costs just to get a free block off, but and then she won't be able to thwart or attack immediately until the turn afterwards, because if she takes consequential damage, then you lose the Toughness. But I think that that's still a very, very good card and a very good effect to have. So if I am playing X-Men in protection, I think that Armor is an ally that I'm always trying to put in the deck. So she's going to go in the A tier here. Okay, next we have Black Widow. This is probably my favorite protection ally. She's a 3-cost ally, 2 thwart, 1 attack, 2 hit points. Interrupt when a card is reviewed from the encounter deck, exhaust Black Widow and spend a mental resource. Cancel the effects of that card and then discard it, then review another card from the encounter deck. So that is such a powerful effect. It's not a forced interrupt, so you don't have to trigger it if you don't want to, so you can see what the encounter card is. If you don't like it, exhaust her, spend a mental resource, and then get rid of it. This works for attachments. It doesn't just have to be a treachery, so a lot of encounter card cancels only cancel treachery cards. She will cancel any card, like a Fanaticism from Ronin, or the Advanced Glider from Venom Goblin, just very, very nasty cards. So she is so powerful, and her utility is off the charts. Having that cancel in protection. She's 3 cost, comes in with 2 thwart, so that's good for the 3 cost, but her hit points are not very good. She'll usually just do 1 activation and just stay there and hang around until we need to cancel an encounter card. She's definitely going to go in the A tier for me, and I think it kind of pains me. I think I'm going to actually have to put her behind Armor, just because if I'm playing protection, I don't always include Black Widow. I probably include her maybe 50% of the time, or maybe even less. And for Armor, if I'm playing X-Men, she is like almost always included. I don't see much situations where you're playing an X-Men protection and you're not including Armor, because that 2 costs for just a tough block is really, really good, and very versatile, works in every situation. Black Widow, like I think one of my subscribers, Peter, commented on my last video with X-23 protection versus Venom Goblin, and I had Black Widow out there almost the entire game, and I never end up using her effect because I really only had her to cancel the Advanced Glider, and I didn't want to cancel any other encounter cards because I was worried about getting the Advanced Glider, which I wouldn't be able to get rid of if it entered play, because I didn't have any attack events, which is the hero action to get rid of the Advanced Glider. That's a huge other tangent, but yeah, I think Black Widow, she's very, very good. There's situations where she will definitely be better than Armor, in situations where she can save your game and be an S tier ally. But I think most of the time that I've actually used her, and even for the higher difficulty, she's going to be a lot stronger. But I mean, Armor works for everything. And obviously, this is assuming that you're playing X-Men, of course. But yeah, I think just having this 2-cost tough status is very, very good. Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm gonna put Black Widow behind Armor. That's really a hard decision right there, but I think that's where they lie for me personally. Okay, so next we have Brother Voodoo, 3-cost ally, 2 thwart, 1 attack, 3 hit points. He takes 2 consequential damage for thwart activations. As a response, after Brother Voodoo enters play, search the top 5 cards of your deck for any event card and add it to your hand. So he's very similar to Clea, the leadership ally, but Clea is 2 costs, has 1 thwart and 2 hit points, and Clea is obviously much better just because he's a lot cheaper, and being a leadership ally, it makes sense why he has a strong leadership, why he has a stronger effect because he's an ally. I said that Brother Voodoo is definitely not bad. There are situations where he's good, but for the 3 costs, it's hard to play him and then get the event that you need specifically because you only look at the top 5 cards of your deck, not your entire deck, right? So he's going to go in the B tier for me. I think that he is a good ally. He can come in Thor for 2 and take a chump block, or Thor for 2 twice. He'll still get you refund you a card back to your hand, right? An event card. So he's definitely not bad, but for him, I don't usually put him in my protection decks. If I have an empty slot for him, then I'll definitely put him in. He's more than welcome because he is a very good ally and strong, but I don't think he's in the same class as the Black Widow in armor. Okay, so next we have Charlie 27. He's a 4-cost ally with 1 thwart, 1 attack, 4 hit points, retaliate 1, and toughness. So he has 2 keywords here. He deals 1 damage to every attacking character if he defends against the attack, and he enters play with toughness. So I'm guessing when you play him, you want him to not activate, because if he takes the consequential damage for thwarting or attacking, he'll lose the toughness. So you have him there. He defends, the enemy knocks out the tough, and then he retaliates and hits him back for 1. And then you can activate if you want with his 4 hit points. This is not a good stat line and a huge tempo hit. I'm going to put him in the C tier here. Yeah, he's just not a very... actually, would he be in the D tier? Let's see. Are there any situation where I think, or any situations where I think that he is very, very good? I mean, if he blocks, so man, that initial block for toughness, right? Armor can do that at 2 costs. You're using your whole hand to play Charlie 27 for him to take an attack to the face, and then you ready him up. He can just thwart or attack for 1 next turn. Armor can do that as well. Yeah, I'm actually gonna put him in the D tier. I think he's not very good. I don't think I will ever use him, even if I have an empty spot in the protection deck. I much rather put another protection ally. And armor, in my opinion, just does what he does a lot better. And obviously, she's X-Men locked, and he's a guardian. So, I mean, they're different, but we're just gonna compare their abilities and their effects as if we can both play them in the same deck. Okay, so next we have Clea. She's a 2-cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack, and 2 hit points. As an interrupt, when Clea is defeated, shuffle her into the owner's deck. So Clea is your poster chump block ally, right? She has the worst stat line possible, but it's decent for a 2-cost ally because she's so cheap. She can just come in, thwart for 1 or attack for 1, take a chump block, and with her interrupt, it's not a forced interrupt, so you don't have to put her back in your deck, but you can if you want. And if you need chump blockers, I mean, she's great. She can just go back in your deck, and if you get her again, you can play her again, have her chump block constantly. Yeah, she's not a terrible ally, but by no means is she like really good or anything like that. I'm gonna put her in the B tier here, behind Brother Voodoo, because her effect is not really super duper useful, but at the same time, she is just a 2-cost ally that can activate and then take a chump block. So she's not bad. If I have an empty space for her in my deck, she's more than welcome to join. Okay, so next we have Daredevil ally. He's a 2-cost ally with 2 thwart, 1 attack, 3 hit points, and he takes 2 constant damage for thwart activations. As a response, after Daredevil defends against an attack, move 1 damage from him to attack an enemy. So if you're having him block for minions, like a minion that hits for 1, he has to survive the attack, right? It's after he defends. So if he dies from the attack, he won't be able to move, but move the damage to the attack enemy. But if you have like a drone minion, he can defend against a drone minion's attack and knock him out right away. So against Ocean, I think he's very, very good. I've never actually used him for that effect, actually. So I've usually played him with the blank text box, and I played him a lot. Coming in with 2 costs, 2 thwart, 1 attack, and 3 hit points, even with the 2 consequential damage for thwarting, that is an amazing stat line. Especially for a 2-cost ally. He can thwart for 2, which is a little bit rare in protection. So I think he's actually an amazing ally. I think I'm putting him in the B tier because, I mean, he's not like He's not going to be a key card to any deck or anything like that, but if I have an empty spot in the roster, he is more than welcome in protection, being 2 costs and being able to thwart for 2. Yeah, he actually has the same stat line and consequential damage as Brother Voodoo, but for 2 costs. And I think for his effect, for not having the effect of tutoring an event, I would rather that 2 costs up front for Daredevil than Brother Voodoo. Okay, so next we have Elixir. This is a 4 cost ally, so very expensive. 1 thwart, 1 attack, 3 hit points. Play only if your identity has the X-Force or X-Men trait, so we're going to assume that we are playing a hero that has one of those traits. As a response, after Elixir attacks or thwarts, heal 1 damage from another friendly character. So he cannot heal himself, so he can't Voltron himself. He has 3 activations where he heals 3 times from another friendly character. So if he was in a different aspect, maybe there'd be more situations where he's good, but in protection, you have Med Team, right? So Med Team comes in with 3 med counters, and you can exhaust it to heal 2 damage from any friendly character, including another ally, right? So even in a situation where you're healing not your identity, like let's say you want to use him, I mean, the only time where I could see maybe he's like decent is with Honey Badger, where he's healing her for 1, and then she can activate again for X23 to ready up. But even for that situation, I would prefer Med Team because it's 3 costs. It doesn't take up an ally spot, and it just heals for more and is more versatile because you can heal your hero. So I'm gonna put Elixir here in the D tier. I think he's even worse than Charlie 27, just because he's replaced by not another ally but Med Team. I think Med Team does what he does better. Yeah, I just can't think of a situation where I think this guy would be very, very good. Okay, so next we have Iceman. He is a 3 cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, and 3 hit points. So this is your standard kind of stat line for a 3 cost ally, so it's definitely not bad already. He enters play with 3 freeze counters on him. As a response, after a minion enters play, remove 1 freeze counter from Iceman and stun that minion. So he reminds me of the Hawkeye leadership ally, where Hawkeye's the same cost. They both have 1 thwart. Hawkeye has 1 attack instead of 2, and 3 hit points as well. Hawkeye enters with 4 arrow counters, and when a minion enters play, you can remove an arrow counter to do 2 damage to that minion. And I think the 2 damage is so much better than stunning. I do like the stunning for the thematics of Iceman, right? Because he's Iceman, so he's freezing these minions and he's going to stun them when they come in. So that is very thematic and fun, but yeah, I think he's not very good. I think if I have an empty roster, I won't mind putting Iceman in there, right? But yeah, he'll almost be just having almost an empty text box because that stun can be useful, but I think more than most of the time, I'm trying to get rid of minions right away when they come in. So this would give me a little more breathing room because I don't have to get rid of them right away because they're stunned for a turn. But I mean, either way, I don't think, yeah, if it was like stunned and confused, it would be better. But yeah, I mean, I don't think, yeah, unfortunately, I mean, he's not, I don't think he's as situational just because he still has good stats for coming in. So yeah, I'm putting him in B tier. If I have an empty spot for him, I wouldn't mind putting him in the deck. Okay, so next we have Iron Fist. It's a 4 cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 hit points. He enters play with 2 mystic counters on him. As a response, when Iron Fist attacks an enemy, remove 1 mystic counter from him, stun the enemy, and do 1 damage to it. So Iron Fist is similar to the Psylocke Aggression ally, right? They're both 4 cost. I think they have very similar stat lines. And then he has 2 counters. Whenever he activates, he has to attack an enemy. You remove a mystic counter, and then you do 1 damage to the same enemy, right? So you can't attack an enemy and then put that damage and the stun on a different enemy. He has to do it all at once. And then, so he effectively has 3 attack for his first 2 activations because you do 1 extra damage with his response here. So 4 cost, 1 thwart, effectively 3 attack, 3 hit points. He can attack twice, stun twice, and then take a chump block. He's going to go into A tier. I think he's a very strong ally with a very strong effect, especially against villains like Ultron or any other villain that if you cancel the activation, they're kind of screwed, and villains that don't have steady or stalwart. I think he's very, very powerful. He's going to go behind Black Widow in armor just because I'm not the biggest fan of statuses, and I don't think that against the higher difficulties, usually villains have stalwart or steady, so he's not going to be yeah, if you are not stunning, then he's still doing 3 damage for 4 costs. Yeah, if you aren't getting that stun, he's not very good. But if you are getting the stun, then I think this is where he will go actually. So I'm going to put him here in the best case where he is getting that stun off. Yeah, and I think as I rank more protection allies, maybe there'll be other allies that are better than him because I'm evaluating that stun as not going off every single time. But I think he's definitely better than Daredevil because he's a very strong effect, but he's not as good as Black Widow because she works in every scenario. If you can get her out, she's always going to be good. It's just, can you afford to pay 3 costs for her and then just have her throw for 2 and just like sit around? You know what I mean? Okay, so next we have Jocasta. She's a 3 cost protection ally with 2 thwart, 2 consequential damage for thwarting, 1 attack, 3 hit points. You may play the event attached to Jocasta as if in your hand. Response after Jocasta enters play, choose a defense event in your discard pile and attach it to her face down. So she reminds me of the leadership ally Black Panther, right? He's 4 cost. He has the same thwart and same consequential damage as thwarting as Jocasta. He has 2 attack and 2 consequential damage for attack activations and 4 hit points. But their major difference in their effect is that they can both add an event underneath them and play from your, like as if it was in your hand. Black Panther adds a leadership event and Jocasta adds any defense event. So it has to be a defense event which fits the mode of protection, but at the same time, identity specific events like a backflip are usually going to be stronger than protection defense events. So it's very powerful that she can add an identity specific defense event face down underneath her, like a backflip for Spider-Man Peter Parker. And you can just play it if she's in play. She's only 3 costs. She's cheaper than Black Panther. 2 thwart, 2 consequential damage, the same as Black Panther with the 4 hit points, but she has 3. But she can still activate twice or thwart and then just attack. I mean, thwart and then take a chump block, I mean. So I think for being 3 cost, she's very, very good. And the fact that she can get an identity specific event, she will really help in protection. So she's actually going to go in the A tier here for me. I'm going to put her above Iron Fist. I don't think she's as good as Black Widow. Having Black Widow out is really good for the cancel. Jocasta will need to be out because you need that defense event to be underneath her. But I mean, if you're getting a strong defensive event, you're gonna be fine having the attack directed at the identity during the first villain phase whenever Jocasta first comes out. So I think that's not much of a problem. And having 2 thwart is very, very good in protection. I have Daredevil, Jocasta, Black Widow. These are the 2 thwart protection allies here, and they're all very, very good just to have that 2 thwarting stat. Okay, so next we have Karma. She's a 4 cost ally, 0 thwart, 0 attack, and then 1 hit point. So when I said armor has like the worst possible stats, I mean, I was totally off. Karma has the worst possible stats. And as a response, after you play Karma from your hand, choose a non-elite minion. While Karma is in play, take control of that minion and treat it as a controlled ally with a blank text box. Its thwart is equal to its printed scheme, and it takes 2 consequential damage after it thwarts or attacks. So she has to stay. It says while Karma is in play. That means she has to stay in play for that minion to be your controlled ally. A concussive blast will kill her, and then that minion or that ally will become minion again. And then that minion takes 2 consequential damage after it activates. That's kind of rough. And then she cannot brainwash non-elite minions. So that kind of hurts her. So you're only controlling mid-tier or very weak minions. And I mean, it's not bad because if you have a nasty minion, you can take it out of the way and then it can activate for you and you can have a chump block and then Karma can chump block next turn. So it's kind of like 2 defenses that you can do and a minion activation and get the minion out of your face. So I'm going to put it into C tier. I think that her potential could be very, very high. She could be very, very good, but there's not going to be that many situations where you can utilize her to her full potential unless you really plan around it. Now she's not a bad ally by any means, but it's just she has too many conditions to work around. So if I have an empty roster spot in my deck, I'm not just gonna be like, oh, let me put Karma in. I'm probably gonna put these guys in first, and then Karma I really have to plan out for. Okay, so next we have Luke Cage. He's a 4 cost ally 1 thwart, 2 attack, 5 hit points, so crazy amount of hit points. And he came in the core set with Black Widow. He has toughness here, so he enters play with a tough status card. So Luke Cage, he comes in with toughness, so if he activates, right, he'll take consequential damage, lose the toughness. So ideally, you want him to come in with the toughness. He doesn't activate. You have him defend against an attack to remove the toughness, and then he can attack like 5 times. Thing is, on paper, he's not bad. He can do a lot. It's just that he's so slow. He's very, very slow. I'm gonna put him in the B tier. I'm gonna put him last in the B tier. I think his effect is decent, right? Like not really having effect, but just having the toughness. Like his stat line is good. I think he has a good stat line for being 4 cost. It's just that he's so slow. So whenever you're playing him, you're gonna take a huge tempo hit, especially if you need to thwart or attack right away. And if you do that, he might just die to 1 villain attack. He's gonna go last in the B tier. I don't think he's as good as any of these guys, but at the same time, he's serviceable. So if I have an empty spot, at the same time, if I have an empty spot in my roster, I'm gonna put Luke Cage in the C tier, because if I have an empty spot in protection, I'm usually not putting Luke Cage. I'm like, he's still too expensive for what he does, and I usually don't want to play a deck that's that slow. Yeah, so he's actually going to go in beginning of C tier here for me, because if I do have the empty slot, I won't put him in, and that's usually what B tier here is for. Okay, so next we have Martyr. She's a 4 cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 hit points. As a response, after Martyr takes consequential damage from performing an attack, if that attack defeated an enemy, give her a tough status card. So she'll get the tough status card. This is a response. So she takes consequential damage. What does she take? No, she takes the response triggers first before consequential damage. Oh, no, but it says here that after a Martyr takes consequential damage. Okay, never mind. So she'll take the consequential damage. So let's say she attacks. She takes 1 damage. She has 2 hit points left. Then if that attack defeated an enemy, give her a tough status card. So she'll still have 2 hit points left, and then she gets the toughness for a chump block. Sorry, not a chump block, but a big block that can block out an enemy attack. So she has the same problem that Luke Cage has. She's very, very slow, right? If you have her attack, she has to defeat a minion. She gets a toughness. You have her defend right away the next turn, and then she'll stay exhausted during your next player phase. So you have to wait a whole nother turn. Then you can have her attack again. She'll take another consequential damage, so she has 1 hit point left. She gets a toughness, and she can block again. She's super duper slow. She's very similar to Luke Cage for me. They're both the same cost. They have the same thwart and same attack. And then he has more hit points, but she gets that toughness over and over again. So they're kind of equal, but I'm actually put her behind Luke Cage, because I think that just having that straightforward toughness, you don't need to strategize as much. Even though when he comes in right away, he won't be able to attack. She'll only get that toughness if she attacks and defeats an enemy. So that's a lot more difficult to get that toughness. You really have to plan well for her, and in some situations she can be very, very good. But I think those are far and few between. Okay, so next let's look at Moondragon here. He is a 3 cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 hit points. As action, exhaust and discard Moondragon. Choose a minion. That minion attacks another enemy of your choice. So Moondragon, he has very terrible stats for 3 costs. So ideally you want to play him, you have him thwart or attack for 1, and then next turn you exhaust and discard him to get his full effect, right? That just kind of, it's a little bit, it just feels wonky. And his effect, the minion attacks another enemy of your choice. I mean, that's not a bad effect at all. He's similar to Karma, where he's kind of like brain controlling them, but not as strong as Karma. But he can choose an elite minion that's really strong. I think he's very situational. He's gonna go in the C tier. He's very, very situational. In some situations, he can be very, very powerful, but most of the time, I don't think we're gonna get the full benefits of his effect. I like Karma a little bit more. I like the ability to steal a minion and make it an ally. Have it do whatever I want more than just one activation. Because Moonshine helps you do just one activation from that minion. Uh, and then because he has to exhaust himself and discard himself. That means that if you want, you're not gonna get the full benefit out of him if you do it on the first turn that you play him. So he's kind of slow on the tempo as well. So I'm gonna put him here in the C tier behind Karma for those reasons. But definitely, if you get the perfect situation where you need this minion to help you like gun down the villain or like defeat another minion, then it could be very very helpful. But I think that he's just very situational. Okay, next we have Multiple Man. This is a 4-cost ally. 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 hit points. So that bottom stat line that we're talking about that armor has. But he has a response. After Multiple Man enters play, search your deck and hand for a copy of Multiple Man and put it into play. Shuffle your deck as if it was searched this way. So when he enters play, you can get another Multiple Man, and then you can get another Multiple Man. So then you fill out on your entire 3 allies. Search your hand and deck. So it's not if it's in the discard pile. So if you see one Multiple Man, you have to play him right away. So I feel like the best time to actually play him, because he's 4 cost, he's so expensive, is you want him on your second deck pass, right? That means you're going through 3 dead cards, and then when you give him a second deck pass while the other Multiple Men are still in your deck, you play the first one right away. If you get 2 in your hand, you probably can't play one while keeping the other one still in your hand for this effect. So if you get 2 in your hand, it's like, oh man, that really sucks. So I get his effect with his ability. So it's a cool, unique ability. It's very thematic, but at the same time, I think it's not as practical. He's gonna go into C tier. I'm gonna put him above Luke Cage. I think that if you do maximize his ability, where you get 3 out for 4 costs, that's very, very good, very, very efficient. But same time, he'll take up all of your ally spots, so you can't really put another ally out if you're doing that. You have to really plan around your deck and just build for him if you want to do that. But yeah, he has very high potential, right? Getting 3 allies out is very useful, but at the same time, just very situational. Yeah. Okay. So next we have Nightcrawler. This is a 3-cost ally, 2 thwart, 2 attack, 2 hit points. Interrupt when an X-Men character would take any amount of damage from an enemy attack. Spend a energy resource and return Nightcrawler to your hand. Prevent all that damage. So the good thing is, well, we're going to be assuming that we're playing him with X-Men, but you don't need to, because when an X-Men character, so he can just defend against an attack, then he will take damage. So then you can return him back to your hand and prevent all that damage. The thing is, it has to be damage from an enemy attack. It's not a hero interrupt, so you can use it in alter ego form. Spend it, man, he's so expensive because he's 3 costs. You have to spend energy resource to get him back to your hand. Then you want to play him back down again. He has good stats for what it's worth. I think he's probably better to just stay and play and hang around, and just as a safety net. So he's kind of similar to Black Widow there, except Black Widow is a lot more powerful because she can cancel any encounter card. He can only stop an attack. I'm tempted to put him in the... Let's see, if I'm playing X-Men, is Nightcrawler an ally that I'm always trying to... Yeah, actually he is. If I'm playing X-Men Protection, Nightcrawler is an ally that I'm usually trying to include. I think he has a very good effect that can cancel out an attack, right? Like the villain will attack and you can block all the damage. It doesn't cancel the attack, so anything that happens from the attack will still trigger, but just being a block of all the damage can be very useful, and it gives you the peace of mind if you have him in play that you probably won't die to damage that turn. Okay, so next we have Nova. 4-cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 hit points. As an interrupt, when an enemy initiates an attack against you, spend energy resource, deal 2 damage to an enemy. So Nova, he doesn't have a bad ability. He's also very slow, right? So if you have Nova, you want to just hang around, and every single time when the villain initiates an attack, so every single turn, you spend energy resource and you slowly whittle the villain down. I think he works good in perfect defense, or just decks where you're just standing there and you have a lot of time and just doing small amounts of damage. He's gonna go in. Yeah, I think because of that reason, he's very situational. He's not gonna go into B tier, because if I'm just building a deck, I'm not like, oh, I have an empty slot for protection, let me put in Nova. But Yeah, I think in a lot of protection archetypes, he can be very, very good. But at the same time, he's not good in the highest tempo type of builds, which is usually necessary if you're facing the highest difficulties. So I think he can be good, but just in very specific situations. Okay, next we have Pinpoint. This is a 2-cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 2 consequential damage for attack activations, and 2 hit points. Play only if your identity has the champion trait, so we're assuming that we're playing him with the champion hero. Hero interrupt when a player card will be placed into the a discard pile. When a player card will be placed into a discard pile from play. Exhaust Pinpoint, shuffle that card into the owner's deck instead. Oh man, yeah, I don't think he's very good. I'm trying to think of a situation where he would be good. I mean, you can recur another card when a player card would be placed into a discard pile. You have to exhaust him. So I guess if you play Pinpoint, you can just have him thwart, and then you don't really do anything else with him. You just leave him in play. He can help you constantly recycle cards, which I mean, there can definitely be uses for that. They go back in your deck, but if you're playing a hero that can, I don't know what champion heroes that can do that, but you're playing a hero that can tutor a card from your deck back out. I'm putting in C tier. I think he's good in certain situations, but definitely the hard situations, because I can't think of one right now off the top of my head. I think Moon Dragon and Karma have more situations where they're good, and Pinpoint I can't really think of anything. Um, he has 2 costs, so you can play him, but then he can only thwart for 1, and his effect doesn't want you to chump block. I'm trying to think if I play him for 2 cost, have him thwart for 1. He can only thwart for 1, right? If he attacks, he dies. So I'm locked to thwarting for 1, and then chump blocking. That will just completely ignore his effect, right? So if he has a blank card and he's just yeah, I think for a 2, this is the one time where I think a 2-cost ally is actually going to go in the C tier, because he's a 2-cost ally, but he can only thwart without dying. So if I want him to chump block, I have to thwart, and yeah, everything just kind of goes against his own kit. So I'm gonna put him actually last in the C tier, because even if I have an empty spot in the roster, I would much rather put Clea or even Iceman or Brother Voodoo over Pinpoint. And then amongst these allies that are very situational, which Pinpoint is, and they have more situations where they are good. Okay, so next we have Polaris. She's a 3-cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 hit points. As a response after Polaris enters play, give an X-Men character a tough status card. So assume that we're playing her with X-Men. You can give your identity a tough status card. She can also give herself the tough status card. But most of the time, I think we want to give our identity that tough status card. So that's a very, very powerful effect. If she gives herself the tough status, then she's kind of slow, because then if she activates, then the consequential damage will ping off the tough. But if she gives the identity to tough status card, she can still swing for 2. This is a great stat line for a 3-cost ally. I'm gonna put her in the A tier. I'm put her above Iron Fist here, because I think if I'm playing X-Men, I am itching to use Polaris. Yeah, she's very, very good. She has that good stat line right there for 3 costs, and it gives you a tough as well. That's very, very effective. You can just take the next villain attack to the face, and you still have another ally right here where she can chump block if the villain activates again, and she can do more activations next turn as well. I think Polaris is very, very good. She's not as good as Jocasta, I think, because I think thwarting is a little bit more valuable in protection here, and just getting an identity-specific event can also be very, very valuable and more versatile than just getting a tough stats card. So I really like Jocasta. Okay, so next we get the Protector. This is a 4-cost ally, 1 thwart, 3 attack. It's very high. She takes 2 consequential damage for attack activations with 3 hit points. So it's not the best for a 4-cost ally. Interrupt when Protector would take any amount of damage, spend a mental resource, reduce that amount by 1. When Protector would take any amount of damage. Oh, limit once per round. Okay, I was trying to figure out if you can do that multiple times. No, but it's limited once per round. So if you have her defend, the villain attack is usually going to kill her, and it's going to overkill by more than 1. If a minion attacks, you can have her defend, but at the same time, unlike Daredevil, if he defends a weak attack, he can move 1 damage to attack an enemy for free. She has to spend a resource and not even move the the damage, but just reduce it by 1. And she has the same hit points as Daredevil. Yeah, she is terrible. I'm gonna put her in the D tier here. And I'm gonna actually put her behind Elixir because she literally just has the same effect as Daredevil, but it's much worse. And even Daredevil's effect, I don't really ever use. So this effect's gonna get even less use, especially because it requires a mental resource. And her stat line is not good for being 4 cost. The 1 thwart in protection is not good. 3 attack, it's not bad, but she swings once for 3 and takes a chump block, or swings twice for 3. That'll be the way to get the most benefit out of her. Oh wait, I think I'm missing something. Okay, if she attacks for 3, she takes consequential damage. You can spend that mental resource to reduce that damage. Ooh, that is not good still, because then if she only takes 1 consequential damage for attacking, she has 2 hit points left. You have to do it again next turn. So that'll make her 4 costs. Add another mental resource, that's another cost. Add another mental resource, that'll be 6 costs to get 2 attacks off and chump block. Yeah, I mean, she still lands here even with that, and that'll be like the perfect scenario for her. I just think at 4 cost, yeah, that is just not a very good style. I'm gonna put her last here in the D tier. Okay, next we have Rockslide. He's a 4 cost ally, 1 thwart, 3 attack, and 2 consequential damage, so very similar to Protector, but he has 6 hit points. He's Retaliate 1. I actually like him a lot more than the Protector here, because 6 hit points he can activate 3 times, pretty cleanly. I'm not sure what he's doing with the Retaliate 1. He can take an attack, but then if the villain gets lucky with boost, he'll still die. Yeah, I mean, he's still not a great ally, and I can't think of many situations where he is good. I'm putting him above Charlie 27. He's very similar to him as well with the Retaliate. 6 hit points. Yeah, I mean, having 3 attack is not bad. Let's see, 4 cost, 1 thwart, 3 attack, 6 hit points. Maybe he can go in the C tier here. He's definitely not a B tier ally. So if I have an empty roster for X-Men in protection, I'm not thinking about putting Rockslide. I really have to force him in if I want to play him. And then is he a C tier? Are there situations? Yeah, I mean, I think just having these stats aren't bad. He's similar to Luke Cage, actually. They're both 4 cost. I'm actually going to put him above Luke Cage here because they're both 4 cost. He can just activate right away, and I won't feel bad about losing the toughness. And he just has higher tempo, right? He can activate right away. He can attack 3 times in 3 turns to do 9 damage. Luke Cage can attack 6 times in 6 turns to do 12 damage. So I think that the tempo of doing that early damage faster is going to be a little bit better than Luke Cage there. Okay, so next we have, but they're very, very close. Next we have Silk. This is a 2 cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 hit points. Response: after you play Silk from your hand, you control another Web Warrior card. Search in counter deck for a treachery and discard it. So she is a Web Warrior ally. So we're going to be assuming that we're playing Web Warriors with her. And I mean, yeah, she has an amazing effect. If you're playing on Expert, you can get rid of Under Fire, you can get rid of Exhaustion, you can get rid of Shadow of the Past, you can get rid of an Advance. She gets rid of, I think, and then the higher difficulties. So I haven't played Standard 2 or Expert 2, but I mean, I know like Dark Dealings, like they have even more rough encounter cards or treachery cards, and she can just discard anything you want. If I'm playing her against Venom Goblin, I'm discarding the thing that searches for the Advanced Glider. Yeah, I mean, she is super duper good. If I'm playing a Web Warrior protection deck, she is automatically gonna come in. Now where does she rank amongst that? I think I'm actually gonna put her above Jocasta, right? She's a 2 cost ally, so she's gonna get play almost every single time that we see her in the deck, and then she can take out any treachery, and then the synergy with the Web Warrior cards, right, with the Web of Life and Destiny, whenever she leaves play, you can draw a card as well, so that is more to her benefit. Yeah, I think that Silk is a very, very good ally, and an ally that I'm always trying to include if I'm playing Web Warriors. Yeah, even more in Jocasta, but she's not as good as Black Widow with that utility that Black Widow has. Actually, now that I'm looking at the list, no, I think Armor is still very good here, because it's effectively giving you a tough status card. I think the only thing that holds Armor back is that you must be an X-Men, But since that isn't in my criteria, like holding that against her, I think it makes sense because she's just 2 costs. You can have her defend a strong attack, and then yeah, I'm gonna keep armor here, but it's hard. I am like flipping back and forth between Black Widow and armor right now. Okay, so our next ally here is Siren. 4 cost ally, 2 thwart, 2 attack. As a response after Siren attacks, stun a minion. She has 3 hit points. 4 cost. I mean, she has a good stat line and a good effect, but for 4 cost, that's a little bit hefty. After she attacks stun a minion. So, I mean, there would be situations where she's useful, but I don't think there's that many situations. And if I have an empty spot in the deck, yeah, she's not going to go in my empty roster for a protection deck because she's just so costly. I do like her more than Rockslide because of that 2 thwart. So she can come in thwart for a lot, which will help protection out, but at the same time, being 4 costs for that 2 thwart usually isn't worth it. And it's not just like an empty spot that I want to put in, but I think for certain situations, she can be really, really good, right? If she's attacking and stunning minions that you need to get stunned, she can like cancel a whole minion, right? Like if there's a minion in play, she can attack it, stun it, next turn attack it again, it stuns again, and then like if it has 6 hit points, she can get rid of it by herself across 3 turns, which is, you know, pretty slow tempo, but I mean, I can definitely see situations where she is good. And a 2 thwart, like I said earlier, is pretty useful as well. Okay, so next we have Spider-Man Noir. He's 3 cost, X thwart, X attack, 3 hit points, takes 1 consequential damage for each activation. X equals the number of face-down cards attached to him. Response after you resolve a treachery card, if you control another Web Warrior card, so assuming that we do because we're playing Web Warriors, attach that treachery face down to him, up to a max of 3. Okay, so he is like the slowest of the slowest. If I said Luke Cage was slow, this guy is even slower than that. Assume that we do have a Web Warrior card. Every single time a treachery is reviewed, it gets face underneath him. The utility would be that he takes these treacheries out of the game forever if you just keep him in play and just have him sit there, right? So if an advance goes underneath him and a Shadow of the Past goes underneath him, then you don't have to, well, I guess the Shadow of the Past you don't have to worry about anymore anyways because your Nemesis already came out. But for the advance, or like the thing that, the treachery that tutors the advanced glider for Venom Goblin, if you get it underneath him, you don't have to worry about it ever again. But at the same time, he has to stay there, so he'll be even more slower than his effect. To get the full effect where he's doing 3 thwart or 3 attack, you have to wait possibly up to 3 turns. But if you get a bunch of treacheries right away, then you could do it right away. He's very situational. He's a very situational card. I think you have to build around him. He's slower than Luke Cage, but his effect, I can see that I feel like he has higher potential, in my opinion, than these other cards right here. I think Noah is more of a staple, but I think that Spider-Man Noir has very high potential if you're playing a very long game, especially multiplayer, and he's holding like both of the advances underneath him. Like that is because this is a response, not a force response, so you can choose when you want to trigger it. So you just put all the advances underneath him. You don't have to worry about it for the whole entire game. Just have him sit there chilling. So I can see the utility being very, very good, but obviously those are very rare situations where he is doing that. But if he's just holding advances, I mean, he's an S tier ally. But yeah, I don't think that will happen that often. But definitely, if you can maximize it, I think it's very good. Okay, next we have Spider-Man Miles Morales, 4 cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 hit points. Response after you play Spider-Man from your hand, stun and confuse an enemy if you control at least 3 Web Warrior cards. So assume that we are playing Web Warriors. I feel like it's not that hard to have 3, right? You have your identity, you have the Web of Life and Death. So all you really have to do is get 1 more Web Warrior ally out, and you can get his effect here. So he's stunning and confusing enemy. That's very, very powerful if you can actually get that off. For 4 costs, I think it's worth it to stun and confuse and have these stats here. Unfortunately, I'm not very big on stun and confusing. Yeah, it's not going to be very good against Stalwart. For Steady, I can actually see a lot of use out of this because you're stunning and confusing, so all you need is 1 more to fully cancel the villain's activation. And you could use it on a minion, right? It says any enemy. So yeah, he's not bad. At the same time, if I'm playing Web Warrior Protection, I usually actually don't include Miles. So he's not going to go in the B tier for me. I think he's situational because of that stun. but he's very, very powerful if you can get all the requirements off. Would he go? No, he's gonna go in C tier because I'm not. He does not fill an empty roster spot for me, but under specific situations, he can be super duper powerful if you get his effect fully off. I think that there's definitely times where he can feel like an A tier ally, but it's never came up for me. Okay, so next we have Spider UK. This is a 3-cost ally, 1 Thor, 2 attack, 2 consequential damage for attack activations, 5 hit points. So he has a lot of hit points, especially for 3 cost. So he's another web warrior. Interrupt when Spider UK defends against an attack. Do damage to the attacking enemy equal to the number of web warrior cards you control. So Spider UK is very, very good, and he fits that protection archetype where he can actually help you defend attacks. And if you have 3 web warriors out, or the Web of Life and Destiny and 3 web warriors out, including himself, so actually you can include your identity. So the max you can have, right? If your defense against an attack do damage equal to the number of web warrior cards you control, the max you can have is if your identity is a web warrior, you have 3 web warrior allies, and the Web of Life and Destiny. That would be 5. So then before, because it's interrupt, it happens before the attack, he can deal 5 damage to an attacking enemy. Even if you don't get all 5, you only have like 3. That's great for wiping out weaker, lower tier minions here. And one thing to take note of is that it's an interrupt, so when he defends against enemy attack, you have to exhaust him to defend. And then he can do that damage before the enemy's attack goes through. So you can kill off minions before they ever hit him. And he'll never take consequential damage for doing that. So that's a strategy that I've seen and that I personally done, and that's worked very well with him. At the same time, it is very slow. I think a lot of these cards are slow because they are in protection, which makes sense because you're trying to get your protection cards built out and everything. But he's going to go, he could be an A tier ally. But I think just because of his slowness, I'm going to put him in the B tier. So he has a very, very powerful effect. Super duper good. But just because he's situational, right? You have to really be defending and you have to have minions, I think, to get the full benefits of it. At the same time, oh man, 3 costs for, actually, I'm going to put him in the A tier here, actually. Because 3 costs to build a Thor for 1, attack for 2, and have 5 hit points. He can activate 3 times with that. I mean, just his stat line is so good. He's a little bit slow on the momentum, but having such great stats, he can attack if you want him to. And yeah, he can Thor as well. So he's actually very versatile, and he can still defend during the villain phase, which is just keeping exhaust for your next player phase. So he's not as slow as I was thinking, because he can come right out the gate doing something and then still defend and take out minions. Okay, so next we have Starhawk. This is a 2-cost ally. 1 Thor, 2 attack, 3 hit points. Interrupt when Starhawk takes damage exactly equal to his remaining hit points, return him to your hand. So Starhawk is another one of my favorite protection allies. He's 2 cost, so he's very, very cheap. And his stat line is amazing for 2 costs, right? 1 Thor, 2 attack, and 3 hit points. Another like very beefy ally for just 2 cost. And he takes 2 consequential damage for attack activations. But that actually works out pretty well with his effect, because you want him to take damage equal to his hit points. So if you Thor for 1 and then attack for 2 next turn, he can come back to your hand, or you can have him swing for 2 and then Thor for 1 or chump block. But then if he chump blocks, then he will be defeated. I actually really like Starhawk, and I've used him in a lot of unique ways. I think he opens up a lot of unique possibilities. He's not S tier for me, but I think he's actually an A tier ally for me in protection. I'm gonna put him above. Let's see. No, I'm gonna put him behind. I'm putting him above Jocasta, actually. And I may be overrating him, but I feel like his uses, like he's one of the most versatile allies in the game. And especially if I have like a power of protection in my hand with no other protection card, if you get Starhawk to swing for 2, which will kill him off, he comes back to your hand, you can play him right away with another power of protection and have him swing for 2 again, which I've actually done a lot more times than I would imagine that I would be able to do that. So I feel like he's just so versatile with that damage, and then at worst, you can just play him, have him Thor or attack, and then chump block, right? Being versatile and being able to chump block makes him so good in addition to his strong and versatile effect. So he's going to go here. I think he has more special uses than Jocasta, but at the same time, I think if I'm playing Web Warrior Protection, Silk is more of a card that I'm definitely putting in than Starhawk in any in any protection deck. I mean, yeah. So I don't think he's as good as Silk, but he's definitely an ally that I'm always looking to include as well. Okay, so next we have Victor Mancha. He's a 2-cost ally, 0 thwart, 0 attack, 4 hit points. Reduce the amount of damage Victor Mancha takes from each attack by 1. So he's like Protector, but she's reducing any amount of damage, right? This guy can only prevent damage from an attack. So actually, he's a little bit more like Daredevil, right? If Daredevil defends against an attack, move 1 damage from him to attack an enemy. So Daredevil actually has to defend, but I mean Victor Mancha doesn't take consequential damage, right? Because that's 1 damage. So he reduces all instances. Yeah, okay, so that's his big thing. He reduces all instances of damage by 1. So that's very, very good. 2 costs and 4 hit points is very, very good as well. The thing is, he's not actually 2 costs. It's a little bit misleading because you have to play something to buff him up. So for 3 costs, if you buff him up, he's like the ultimate Voltron candidate because, I am tripping right here. I'm not reading this. Each damage he takes from each attack by 1. Okay, so it's not... Okay, so never mind. He's not a Voltron candidate because the consequential damage will still go no matter what. So basically from each attack. So he's pretty much defending if he's taking damage from attack, right? Unless it's indirect damage, but that's pretty rare. So he has almost the same effect as Daredevil here, right? Because Daredevil is defending, move 1 damage from him to attack an enemy. Victor Mancha is reduce the amount of damage he takes from each attack. So he's not very good. I'm going to put him... Let's see. Is there a situation where he's... I think there are situations where he can be useful. So I'm actually going to put him in the C tier, but I'm going to put him behind Pinpoint because he's not really... Yeah, he can defend a drone minion's attack forever or another really weak minion. But if the minion is that weak, like, do I really need him defending it? And the answer is probably no, especially in protection where I have a lot of ways to recover and stuff like that. So... yeah, he's not very, very good. At 0 thwart, 0 attack, he can't really do anything unless you buff him up. 2 costs is very, very cheap, but when you're playing him, you're not really getting anything out of him unless you're deck building around it. So I think that he belongs in C tier because these are allies that has very specific situations where they need to unlock their true potential. And he's going to go last here because I don't think he's absolutely horrendous. I think there are cases where he can be like very overpowered. Like, I don't know, if you have, for some reason, some super strong minion, like strong as in beefy, like 10 hit points and has 1 attack, and you can't get rid of it, you can just leave it there and have him take that 1 attack every single turn. So in some situations, I can see use out of him, but yeah, and if you buff him up or something like that. But yeah, I think most of the time, he's not going to be very good. Okay, next we have Warlock. This is a 3-cost ally with 1 thwart and 1 attack, and he has 3 hit points here. So his action, spend a mental resource, heal up to 2 damage from Warlock. So okay, Warlock is going to be your Voltron candidate here. So spend a mental resource, heal up to 2 damage. It's not limited to once per phase, so if you someone increases hit points like crazy, have him take more damage, he can heal more as well. 3-cost ally for 1 thwart, 1 attack. I think it's actually not a bad Voltron candidate. The thing is, I think you actually get more value out of other cards like Med Team and just using Med Team healing because protection can do that versus spend that mental resource every single time. Because then you're spending 3 mental resources. The more you do that, the more... Yeah, if you can buff him up, I can definitely see him being good. I think he's a situational ally, another situational one. Yeah, because if I have empty slots in my protection deck, I'm not gonna put Warlock in there. I need to really plan around and build for him because at 3 costs, having 1 thwart and 1 attack is not very good. But at the same time, I can see him being good if built around properly. I'll probably put him... I think I'll put him above Multiple Man. Yeah, I mean, he can technically stay around forever and just always hit that 1 thwart or 1 attack. But you gotta spend that mental resource every 2 turns to heal him up. Which definitely isn't bad. But taking up that roster spot to do 1 thwart or 1 attack, it's not a complete Voltron because you have to spend that mental resource every single time. So I think this is a good spot for him in the C tier. So he's a little bit conditional. Okay, and for our last protection ally, we have Warpath. It's a 4-cost ally, 2 thwart, 2 attack, but she takes 2 consequential damage for thwart activations, 4 hit points. She comes in with toughness. Hero response, so you must trigger this in hero form. After Warpath defends against an attack, play an event with a hero action ability from your hand, paying its costs. So after she defends, so hero actions you can only play during the player phase. So what she's allowing you to do is effectively play a hero action, but it must be something from your hand. And it has to be a hero action, so it cannot be a regular action. So like, you have to play. It has to be an event. Yeah, that is so situational. Like, what would I play? Like an attack event. After she defends. So I mean, I can see very few situations where she can be good, right? Like she's defending. Let me see. After she defends against an attack. I'm not sure the timing on this. Can you do this before the attack goes through on her? I'm not sure. After Warpath defends against an attack. Yeah, I think this is actually after the attack hits her. So if she defends and then she gets defeated, then this won't trigger. So it works with her toughness, so she can do that at least one time, but even then it's very situational. I don't think she's a very good ally. I'm gonna put her, see, at 4 costs, 2 thwart, 2 attack, 4 hit points. Yeah, she's not very good, very situational at best. But having that 2 thwart can be useful. I mean, I'm gonna put her. I don't think she's as good as Luke Cage or Martyr. I can see. I think Karma has higher potential than Warpath. I think Moondragon is a little bit more potential as well. I'm going to, yeah, but at the same time, I can see her just coming in, just throwing for 2, I guess. Yeah, okay, so I think I'm going to put her here above Pinpoint and Victor Mancha. Yeah, and I'm not really too sold on that, but I don't think Warpath is a very good protection ally. Okay, so this is my protection list, and I'm a little bit surprised to see that we don't have any allies that I think are S tier. And I mean, this may just be because I'm rating the allies considering what I put for leadership allies, and I have like Maria Hill, I have White Tiger in there, and I just don't think any of these protection allies are in the same league as a Maria Hill or White Tiger. But maybe that's a little bit unfair because obviously leadership allies should be stronger because leadership is the ally aspect. So maybe my criteria is a little bit off here, but yeah, I'm going to finish this list with the other aspects with the same criteria, and we'll just kind of see how that lands. But yeah, I think maybe there's probably something off with that. So that's my protection ally list. Let me know what you guys think, if you agree or disagree with anything, and if you would have any one of these allies in the S tier. And let me know how you feel about Black Widow and Armor, because I am very unsure about that, but this is the way that I currently feel about it right now. And obviously, it's going to be Armor with X-Men allies. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.